Yo guys, and today I wanted to talk to you about mental health, particularly mental health in relationships. So I have got, if you keep seeing me looking over here, it's because I have got some things on my computer that I'm looking at just to keep it clear in my own head and keep it concise for you, because I don't want this being like an hour long video being really hard to edit for me because I don't know what to cut out and what not to cut out, and B, just you finding it hard to follow, which is more of my concern. And I'm not going to sit here rambling about that, so we're going to carry on. This is my personal experience with mental health and what mental health is, how I've experienced mental health, how it's come to me. So I've never been diagnosed with any type of mental health issue ever. I've never been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, OCD, bipolar, like schizophrenia, whatever, you name it, I haven't been diagnosed with it. Although from as young as I can remember, I've always had a problem with my anger. Insofar as in some situations, particularly at home in arguments, I haven't been able to control how angry I've got and then what I've done with that anger. To the point where a couple of months ago I punched a wall and ended up breaking my hand and damaging the muscles and ligaments in my hand. Many of my family has had mental health issues that have been left undealt with, some are dealt with, but for some of them it's just an everyday struggle, and it took them years before they woke up and they were like, well, I need to get diagnosed for that, or I need to see someone about that because it's not right. I understand what mental health is and how it's affected people in their past, so for me, I find it quite easy to then not help them and give them advice, but help them insofar as say that I'm there for them and just be there for them. I find that really easy to do. It's like a second nature to me. But also where I work with young people on a regular basis, I've got to, but I've taught myself to take on their problems for a while, talk about it with them, but not take it home. Not take it personally, not take it home, because at the end of the day they experience the world differently to you, and everyone experiences the world differently to the way you do. Some people's experience of the world is quite good, mine's quite good. I've had so many opportunities opened up to me that I've been able to take, and the people around me, my youth centre and my school, I can't thank enough for that. I've never recognised any sort of mental health problem in myself that I've needed help for, or that I've needed to seek help for. And I've never really wanted to confront how I feel anyway, so it's made it quite hard to diagnose anything, if anything is there or has been there. But I now see a counsellor, and I've been seeing her for about 19 weeks. Not this session coming up, the next session will be my last session with her. And that's really helped me insofar as having self-help, because that isn't, self-care isn't a lot. I didn't do that a lot before I was alone. I say alone because there were people around me, but I chose, it was a conscious effort to not talk to them about it because I didn't want to become a burden on them. And I think that's something that a lot of young people are worried about. I know particularly with my friends, they do worry a lot about being a burden on other people when it comes to having mental health issues. And it's not something that you need to worry about. Like, you're not a burden on anyone else, and if they say that you are, they're not the type of person that you want to be around, and they're not your friend. Because, quite frankly, if they're not willing to sit there and listen to your problems, but are fully prepared to sit there and tell you theirs, it's a one-way street, and that's not fair. I'm going to talk to you now about my experiences of mental health when I'm with someone and when I've formed a relationship, be it a relationship, romantically, platonically, in family, like any of them, basically with my friends, with partners, and with my family, and the relationships that I've formed there, how that's affected me. Just to give you a quick definition of the word relationships, in case you're not aware as to why I'm referring to it as the whole bunch and not just romantic ones. The Mental Health Foundation defines relationships as the way in which two or more people are connected, or the state of being connected. They can include intimate relationships we have with our respective partners, so with the people that we're with, together. Those we form with our parents, our siblings, grandparents, and with friends, family, work colleagues, teachers, youth workers, whatever. Many of my friends have had mental health problems in the past. My bestest friend has got a mental health, some mental health problems that have gone on undiagnosed, but it's clear that they're there, and to the doctors it's clear that they're there. She's got anxiety and depression, and there might be other ones as well that could be there, but they're the ones that have been diagnosed. In my past romantic relationships, so the ones that are over the past 3 years, their relationships where the other person has had a mental health problem, and it has been something that has impacted me in some way, be it negative or positive. It has impacted me, and it has made me reevaluate my position in some of the relationships. I'm not saying all of the relationships. The relationship that I'm in now, I haven't had to reevaluate my position in that relationship at any point. But the first two, I did reevaluate and shift my mind on where I should be in that relationship quite a few times. So my first real relationship was with a person who had severe depression and anxiety, and I say severe because it affected them daily. Mental health problems affect you daily anyway. It's not something that comes and goes like, oh, I feel a little bit depressed today. Like, no, that isn't how it works. You're depressed, but some days it's not affecting you as bad as it would another day. I'm sorry, my voice is really croaky, but it's something that we're going to have to work with. We was on and off for about a year. I broke up with her quite a lot, purely for the fact I couldn't see myself being with this person forever. Like, not that how old was I then? 14 to 15. I didn't look at a relationship and I was like, this is the person I'm going to marry. Like, in an ideal world, yeah. But in a realistic world, where I'm very much a realist, it wasn't going to happen purely for the fact, whilst I loved her, we was mentally abusing each other a lot of the time. Without even realising it, it affected us in our moods, in the way we treated other people, in the way we treated each other. I treated other people like dirt when I was with her, and it made me lose a lot of my friends. They thought I was treating her like dirt, and then I'd be like, well, you have no position in my relationship with her anyway. She'd tell me 2 different stories, and I believed every word that came out of her mouth. And it was hard. I mean, I broke up with her plenty of times because she pushed me away. Little did I know that that was part of having depression anyway. So, whilst I did have some sort of idea that part of being pushed away is part of depression and anxiety, but the amount that she was doing it to, and she wouldn't tell me anything whatsoever about how she felt or anything, it hurt me. So I broke it off, and then we were still talking, so I still spoke to her a lot. We never had that break that we needed, just to separate that in that way from each other. I knew that that was to do with their depression and anxiety, but not to the extent they was doing it to. But then they always passed it off as, oh, I feel like I'm a burden if I tell you. And I was like, but you're not. And it's not as easy as that sometimes, I get that. I'm not ignorant. But she didn't, it seemed to me, I'm not sure if this was the actual case, but it seemed to me that she didn't even try to open up. She never tried to tell me anything. She'd just be like, no, I'm not going to tell you, you won't care. Despite me saying, oh, I do care, I am here for you, I do love you, she was like, no, you don't. I just wanted to be there for her. And so it was mentally abusive, or the way I described it. They started lying, and that's one thing that I can't stand. They lied to me about, or what I know is they lied to me about the sort of relationship they had with someone. So I broke the relationship off in the end, and that was the final time, and I didn't speak to them for a solid 4 months at all. No words were exchanged to that person whatsoever. In the next relationship that I had after, that person had and dealt with OCD every day, and then my relationship after that, the person, she dealt with seasonal affective disorder. So seasonal affective disorder is where you have low moods, usually in winter, but it's affected by what season we're in. So she could have a really good mood in the summer, but then be really low in the winter because it's winter. Like, obviously not, oh, this is really sad, it's snowing outside. Like, no, that's not why she was depressed. But she got lower moods in the winter, got higher moods in the summer, and it's, yeah. The person I'm in a relationship with now does have mental health issues, but it doesn't mean it's not the best relationship I've ever been in, because it is. So obviously they have days like everyone else with depression and anxiety. They have days where they're happier, they have days when they're anxious, they have days when they're really sad and really low. But that's what comes with having that mental health issue, and I personally just tend to take each day at a time, because there's no really telltale signs that they're gonna have a down day or they're gonna have a good day. So I take each day as it comes and just try and help them as best as I can. Through this relationship, I've sort of come to the conclusion that having a mental health issue or problem doesn't give you grounds to treat someone else like dirt and mentally and basically just mess with someone's head, which is what my first girlfriend did to me. She done that a lot. Yes, part of having depression and anxiety is not treating them like dirt, but sometimes not realising how you are treating them and realising how you're saying things. and how it's coming across, and just snapping. Like, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you tend to push people away. But it's something that I personally deal with now better than I did, and something that you've got to deal with if you are in a relationship with someone. You've got to be understanding of that. And I think the most important thing you can do is just be there for them. Having a mental health problem can be isolating anyway, without people trying to give you their input on what you can do for what you've got and what they're trying to tell you. Like, sometimes all they need is a hug and just to be told that it's okay and that you're there. Sometimes they need to be told it's okay to be sad, it's okay not to feel good all the time. You're not obliged to feel good all the time, you're human. I don't, as far as I know, suffer with any form of mental health problem anyway. But it's hard to feel happy all the time. It's impossible to feel happy all the time. I do have days where I don't feel too good, and that's okay. Right, there's 5 things it's important for you to do as a person who will deal with people who have a mental health problem in your life. Be patient. It's not going to be easy to wake up every day with the unexpected, not knowing what's going to happen and what's right around the corner. It's not easy, but if you're there getting angry at them for feeling that way, you're almost invalidating them, and that's not okay. Try to be understanding. One of my tips here is don't self-diagnose. That doesn't mean that you can't go onto, say, the NHS website or Google what they've got to just try and understand what some of the symptoms are and what it's going to be like for them. Watch personal accounts on YouTube. Be understanding. It's not going to be easy to wake up every day, like, with being patient and not really understanding why they're feeling that way. But that doesn't mean you can't Google what it's like to have depression, Google what it's like to have anxiety, to have OCD, to have SAD, which is seasonal affective disorder. Like, you can do that just to try and understand what it's like for them, because it's tiring. Tell them that it's okay and tell them that you're there. You can be so easily pulled into wanting to give them advice, but if you give them the wrong advice or tell them that loads of other people are going through the same thing, so it shouldn't be as bad for you, don't invalidate how they're feeling and what's caused their depression or anxiety based on your knowledge of what other people have gone through.